Hi guys. Today I want to share a video for those of you who are a viewer of my playlist called My Journey into Grief. This channel is a lot about my process through grief after my pet, my soul dog, passed away. His name was Monsieur. He passed away in August 2023, more than 2 years ago. And I know that on this channel, I also share videos about astral projection and, trips I've had with psychedelics, and all of these things are related to my journey into grief. And one thing that's been a constant, and things that people ask me a lot on the channel is, what do you do every day to astral project and blah, blah, blah. And I always respond, I meditate every day. But the truth is, I don't meditate for astral projection every day or for other spiritual practices every day. I do have several meditation practices going on at the moment and in the past few years. But one that's been constant every day and that I never, ever skip, it's the first meditation of my day every day, is my meditation for Monsieur. I'm going to say it like that. It's not really a grieving meditation. It's a remembrance of Monsieur. I started this on January 4th, 2024. Before I get into how I meditate this way, initially after Monsieur passed, I could not meditate. I tried. There's nothing I could do to sit and be with my breath. It was so frustrating sitting down with my breath and remembering every time I sat down that I had breath, because Monsieur didn't have breath. Okay, let's pick this up from where I left off. I look bubbly and happy and whatever on this channel sometimes, and grieving is up and down. It's been 27 months, and some days are good and some days are bad. And I was going to start over this video from the beginning to make it look good, but the truth is that's what grief looks like, and I want to show what grief looks like on this channel. So I'm just going to pick up from where I left off. And so I left off at, initially, I couldn't meditate. And every time I sat down, I would remember how I had breath, because meditating is often focused on the breath, especially initially when you start out your meditation. And so I would sit, start breathing, and get frustrated, angry that I was breathing when my dog, Monsieur, could no longer breathe. And so for months, I couldn't meditate. And even when I went to the Monroe Institute, you guys probably, some of you have seen the video about my experience at the Monroe Institute. There's a lot of meditating going on, guided meditations going on there. And I was kind of okay with the guided meditations because they were not focused on myself or what I'm going through or things like that, or even my breath. They were focused on some external type of visualizations. But one of the exercises that they ask us to do there is to kind of like put everything we're going through, all our worries, all our thoughts, all our emotions, all the to-do lists and all that stuff into a conversion box. The conversion box is, you can make it out to be whatever you want it to be, but let's say your conversion box is an imaginary chess box inside your mind, and you put all of your stuff in there. And that allows you to empty yourself to begin a more, another visualization or another meditation for the process of, gaining different levels of consciousness in this program. Sorry, I hope that's clear. But yeah, there was this conversion box exercise, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't put Monsieur in that box. And I'm the type of person who really believes that if you love someone and you lose them like to death or something like that, you don't have to let it go. You don't ever have to let him or her go. Grieving is not about letting go. And so in that period in my life, I was not even able to or willing to put Monsieur in an imaginary box for 10 minutes. I couldn't do it. And I realized that at this retreat I had at the Monroe Institute, that even if I really wanted to astral project and go see him, that was going to have to mean that he was included in the process. So so I went there, and that was that. I couldn't meditate breathing before then, but then I could do some guided meditations here and there. But it wasn't until I had my DMT trip that saved my life that I talked about in my video about the DMT trip that saved my life on January 1st, 2024. And it wasn't until then that I accepted that I was going to stay here in my life and not go be with him. It wasn't as much a decision as kind of like a reluctant acceptance that is what was going to happen. I was going to stay here and live and have to figure out a way to deal with my grief. And with that acceptance, I was able to sit down again and start meditating again. And initially, I didn't know how I was going to do that because being with the breath was not fun. So I kind of created an experience for myself, a meditation for myself that I've had for the last 679 days today. I checked right before I started this video. But I knew I was coming close to 700 days. And it's a 10-minute meditation. I sit down every morning within the first hour of waking up, like usually when I'm having my coffee. Let me have a sip here. I'm not done with my coffee. So I have coffee. I sit, close my eyes. Sometimes I look at a picture instead of closing my eyes. It really doesn't matter how I do this, but I do it every morning. I sit. I close my eyes and I spend time with Monsieur. And sometimes I do things with him. So sometimes I'll go for a walk with him in my mind, like in the neighborhood or someplace we used to go. I bring him to the beach and we do something. Sometimes I hand feed him. Sometimes I don't know, I groom him, okay? Anything I want to do or I think of doing, I do it. Most of the time, what I've done over the past 679 days is pet him, touch him, because I miss the physical touch of him. So I remember his fur. I remember all the curves of his body, like his little paws, his little nose, his little ears, that little tail of his that was docked, Everything I can remember physically, I imagine touching him. And that helps me a lot because that's something I really miss a lot. So spending time touching him, like snuggling in bed. I imagine myself snuggling in bed with him. So I have moments like that during meditation. I also have sometimes memories come up. Initially, I'd have a lot of bad memories come up, like the anxiety or the euthanasia period, or the last month when he was deteriorating really fast, some frustrations at the vet, frustrations in life with how dogs are not accepted everywhere. Not everyone loves them as much as I love my dog. And there were moments in my life where that really upset me when I had Monsieur. So I've had memories like that come up. And over the years, because I'm not even going to say the first year I ever smiled at a memory during a meditation, but over time, these memories changed, evolved. Some of them came back many times for me to process the emotions that came along with that, the anger, the sadness, the grief, like the deep longing. I cried so many times during these meditations, and it's fine. you have to cry sometimes. And it wasn't like forcing myself to cry. It was just accepting to be with myself, listening to where I'm at in my grieving process. And if I had to cry, I cried. I wasn't doing this meditation with people around me. I was doing this meditation by myself. And over the years or months or weeks, whatever, yeah, good memories started to pop back in. Initially, I couldn't smile or laugh, but nowadays I have memories where I remember good memories, like him, like it just snowed this week, and I remember him when the first snow would come and he'd run outside, just sniffing the ground, just running everywhere, super excited. And I have memories like that come up, and I smile. I smile when I remember how he used to wag his tail looking out the window when my daughter would come home. You know, really nice memories come up. Sometimes they're even funny. They make me laugh. Not every day, but I get those now. And that tells me where I'm at in my grieving process. And yeah, so I process emotions. I'm looking at my notes here. Sometimes I have to process questions I still have, maybe about feeling guilt for the euthanasia or the moment I chose to end his life and his suffering. So I often have to remember that it was the right time, but it comes up in my meditations. I know a lot of us who have had to make the decision about euthanasia still struggle with that even years later. I still have moments where I wonder, and I process that in my meditations. And other questions I have about the nature of our relationship. Why was he so important in my life? Why is his absence now so difficult? You know, and I look at all these things that affect me with regards to his presence and his absence from my life and everything we've been through and what that means to me. So I process issues that I have regarding and surrounding our relationship. And then, you know what this meditation helps me do? It keeps him alive. It keeps our relationship alive. That's the most important part of why I meditate 10 minutes every day. I spend time with him. And yes, there have been memories of the past. And yes, I do long for him every day. And sometimes it's just my imagination, but what it does, it helps me create a new type of relationship with him in my mind. Like I never have to let him go now. I can just feel his presence in meditation. And sometimes that's what happens is I come back to the present moment. I open my eyes or I close my eyes, but I know that his physical body is not here. I know that now. And through meditation, I can feel the essence of him and how he made me feel and who he was. And I can feel that through meditation now. Initially, it was hard to see through the lack of physicality. But with time, I found a way to be with him without his little cute, hard, solid body that I'm used to. Soft body, not hard, but you know what I mean, like solid body. Now there's kind of like another way I can be with him. And you know, sometimes I talk to him. I ask him questions. I tell him what I'm going to do with my day. And yes, I've seen a lot of healing in myself through this practice. And sometimes I feel guilt about that. I feel bad about the feeling of like I'm not moving on, but I'm getting better. And I know some of us do this. We hold on to the pain. And sometimes when I feel better and I feel bad about that, I feel him with me. I feel like he's there, just telling me that as much as I hope that wherever he went, he's not missing me too much, and it's not too hard for him. I'm gonna do it again. Sorry. I know, I hear him in my meditations telling me that that's what he wants for me too. And so when I feel guilty for being better and for healing, It's like he's right there telling me it's okay. That's what he wants from me. So yeah, meditation did not fix my grief, but it gave me a way to live inside grief, to breathe through grief, you know, to accept I'm breathing, but it especially gave me a way to feel connected with my dog and to have him by my side through the grieving and through the moments that aren't so much grief anymore, because now it's almost like some days I'm not grieving at all. I'm just being with him in presence for 10 minutes in the morning. And so for those of you who are grieving their pets or even any other loved ones, I think this is a practice that probably doesn't exist out there because I just made it up for myself, but it really helps. And if you're looking for a way to feel connected with your loved ones that have passed on, and you're looking for a way to grieve when nothing else really helps, like therapy or psychedelics or, you know, any type of spiritual retreats you're going on or questions you're asking, or when you don't feel like you have support from those around you, this meditation helps you take care of you and you continue that relationship that maybe others are like, aren't you over it now? You can be with that loved one every day in meditation, taking care of yourself, taking care of that loved one. And that's why I wanted to share this today. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that this video helps someone, even just one person. I would be happy with that because it helped me so much. And so for those of you who are grieving, I see you, and I hope every day is a little better for you. Even if some days are worse, overall, over time, it does get better. But it's never going to end. You're always going to be moving through grief. So, sending you love. Have a nice day.